All right, it looks like we are on. So let's start with whether an IDF Iron Dome system was destroyed by a loitering munition. So originally I made this a short video, but it got instantly demonetized by YouTube. So let's talk about whether this is possible. So let me all right, so let's start off like this. Number one, did Hezbollah destroy an Iron Dome? I'm going to show you the video first. I'm going to talk about Hezbollah's capabilities. I'm going to talk about how ADA isn't foolproof. We're going to look at the launcher. We're going to talk about the system, and then we're going to we're going to come to some conclusions here. So let's start off with actually showing the video, which you can see right here. And you know what? I'm going to turn off the volume here. So if you look at the video, this thing claims that a drone came in from the west, and I'm going to show you that. So here's the actual footage. Now, this is kind of the first thing that kind of smells because I don't see a drone or a loitering munition be able to fully send data back, because the environment inside Israel is pretty darn contested. And we also don't have any BDA. We don't have any battle damage assessment. So we really don't know what happened after this kicks off. So, and again, this is something that a lot of anti-Israeli forces do, where people use the term Pollywood. I don't particularly like the term Pollywood because I think it's very disrespectful to dudes who are just trying to do their job. Like if you got some dude and he knows Photoshop and Premiere Pro, and some anti-Israeli organization is paying him money to, like, hey, make a video, he's going to make the best darn video he can, right? Because it's $5 a video or whatever he gets paid. Not excusing what they're doing, but this is a reason why Pollywood is Pollywood, even though I don't particularly like that term. So let's talk about number one. I showed the video. Number two, I want to show the Hezbollah capability, or talk about the Hezbollah capability. So Hezbollah is like the varsity team, all right? And Hamas is the junior varsity. So Hezbollah is not I don't want to say light years, but they are an iteration above Hamas when it comes to capability, both with their staff, their people, their logistics, the weapons that they use, the capabilities of those weapon systems. Hezbollah might even have surface-to-air missiles, like honest-to-God surface-to-air missiles. So it's just a capability. Like Gaza these people are just playing at being an insurgency. Hezbollah is the real deal. So I would not be surprised if Hezbollah had drones and the capability to perform a strike like this. So that's kind of the question there. The next thing to go is, well, ADA. Is ADA, the kind of the thing that they're implying here is that, look, we got so close to this ADA launcher, this Iron Dome launcher. Israel can't protect you. Look how close we got to this launcher. We were able to get this close. Now, the question here is, is ADA foolproof? And the answer is no. Best soccer goalie in the world. It's Alisson, right? Alisson from Liverpool. And occasionally a ball gets past him. So looking at this particular video, which I'm going to throw open here, there is a non-zero chance that a loitering munition or a drone from the north would be able to penetrate Israeli airspace and strike a target or get close to a target. The thing that I find kind of funny is that I don't know how they would have been controlling the drone or getting that video feedback, mainly because I would imagine the airspace above Israel is so heavily jammed with electronic warfare that that's kind of number one. They're probably jamming everything on that spectrum. And number two is, like, you couldn't pay me enough to send a drone up right now. in Gaza or in friggin' Lebanon. You know, you send a drone up, the Israelis are going to friggin' identify where that drone is coming from. They're going to triangulate you, and they're going to send their own drone to put a hellfire through your brain. So that would be a really bad idea if you did that. So I think this video actually might be authentic in the sense that they really did launch a munition and it got that close. A couple other things here. I want to talk about looking at the launcher. So looking at the actual launcher, as we get closer to it, there's a few things that kind of smell about this particular launcher. One of those is, let me show you the actual, all right, so you see this, you know what, I'm going to bring this over into my whiteboard here so you guys can see this. So one of the things that is, screen brush, so you see this right here? This here is an antenna. And what we don't see is we don't see an antenna on this vehicle here. Let me bring this up to the whiteboard as well. So if you look at this vehicle, we don't see an antenna here. Now there is that shadow, but I don't see the antenna here where I would expect to see an antenna. So this antenna, oh darn it. This antenna does not seem to exist here, although there is a shadow right here which might be the antenna. So that being said, I think what this could be is it might be an actual launcher, or it could be a training unit. Like, hey, these are units that guys practice on loading, unloading, maintaining. The other kind of weird thing, let me bring this back in here so I can show everyone combination right. All right, so let me show you. I find it kind of weird. I don't know if there's any Israelis in the chat right now, but what I find kind of weird is that, let me throw this up on the whiteboard. What I find kind of strange is that you have these vehicles parked super close to the launcher, including these civilian vehicles here. So here's what I can tell you. Whenever you fire any kind of weapon system, and it comes out of one of these casings, all this crap goes every place. Now, they probably have that pretty well swept, but you still have debris from the box launcher flying all over the place and backblast. It looks like the backblast will be pretty localized there. But yeah, I don't know if you would want those vehicles that close to that launcher. Again, showing the whiteboard. I don't know if you want these vehicles this close to where the launcher is, even though they're outside of that backblast area, because all sorts of crap is going to come out of here and land on here. So again, that's kind of another thing that points me to this might be some sort of training unit or a demonstrator that allows people to maintain the system or learn the system. I could be wrong about that as well. Maybe the Israelis really are. Yeah, Beseder, we'll get the new truck. You know, it's fine. Park close. It is hot outside. Don't feel like walking. So the next thing I want to cover is, I looked at the launcher. I want to talk about the system. So, you know, it's great to go after any kind of target that's going to do you some kind of damage, right? It's great to go after something like the actual launchers. However, one of the issues here is that there are the Iron Dome system has three components to it. You know, I'm going to throw this up inside the whiteboard as well. So the Iron Dome system has three components to it. You have a radar system, which detects the actual mortars, rockets, artillery that are coming in. So you got the radar system. Next, you have your control van. That's where the people sit that are the deciders whether they're going to engage. Well, the system has a fully auto mode. And then you have the missile firing unit, or the transporter launcher or erector, which is what we would call it in the U.S. And that's kind of what the bad guys went after here. They went after the transport erector, or they went after the missile firing unit. This thing right here. This thing right here. Let me move this over. So these two things, this is the missile firing unit, this is the missile firing unit right there. So, I mean, it's ideally, if you want to stop a system, like you want to prevent that system from functioning, you need to destroy the radar. Because without the radar, none of that's going to work. So, I mean, if one of these systems was hit, is that bad? Yeah, it's bad. Is it horrible? No, it's not necessarily horrible. I mean, they have plenty of these launcher systems. You can get another launcher in there. Radar is a lot tougher. Radar is a lot more expensive. All right, so continuing on here, let's talk about some of the conclusions. So I'm going to whip out ICD 203. ICD 203 is the standard in the intelligence community that we use to determine whether something is likely or not likely. It's what we use for probability. All right. So let me throw this up into the whiteboard. So let's talk about the likelihood. What is the likelihood that Hezbollah has this capability? Well, I think it's actually pretty darn likely that Hezbollah has the capability to strike targets in Israel via drone or loitering munitions, some drone drop munition. I think it is likely that they have that capability. What is the probability that Israel would be able to jam these drone systems? Well, again, I think that is between likely and very likely. One of these two. Probably more like very likely, highly probable, but something obviously got through, so maybe that's more like a likely. You know, like I said, you have the best goalie in the world. You have Alisson, right? Alisson is the best goalie in the world. How many times has Alisson not caught that ball, right? So, next question here. Is it possible that Israel wouldn't be able to detect one of these drones coming in, or that they fired at it and missed? Well, you know what? That's also likely. You know what? This isn't... All right, there you go. That's also a likely. It is likely that Israel could miss with one of these systems. You know, sometimes just all the stars align and it's just not your freaking day. And the system just doesn't work that particular day. And, you know, again, like being a goalie, like the enemy only has to be right once. You have to be right every single time. Now, the other question here, and it's transmitting. So why was Hezbollah able to get this footage back? Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to show. So the likely route. So this was actually the location where that munition probably came from. So if I actually take a look, this probably came from somewhere in southern Lebanon. So odds are this thing came down this way and then cut west and just went hey diddle diddle right up the middle. Right inside this, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, Ramat Natal. You can actually see, if you look at the, let me move these standards down here. If you look at there's a warehouse right here. And that warehouse kind of matches warehouse. So I think this happens somewhere around here. So going back to likelihood, what is the likelihood that this launcher was destroyed? Well, we don't know, right? We don't know. A lot of things can happen after a loitering munition or a drone hits a target. It could have fallen short of that target. There's no BDA or bomb damage assessment. Israel hasn't said whether they lost a launcher. And I don't know if they would even say that if that had actually happened. So I think looking at this, I think that see, that's a tough one. It's tough to like look at likelihood as to whether this thing was actually destroyed. Now, the one difference is between Israel and a lot of other countries, especially in the Middle East, is that Israel has a free press. And some journalists at Haaretz, because of course it would be Haaretz, would learn that a launcher was destroyed and they would be talking about how this launcher was destroyed. So I think if a launcher was destroyed, people would be talking about it, and you don't really see that being talked about in Israeli media. And like I said, Israel has a free press. So I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think that maybe it would be between whether an actual launcher was destroyed. I'm going to call it a roughly even chance. We just don't know. We don't know whether it was destroyed or not. Hezbollah definitely has the capability to do it. But we don't know what happens after that screen goes blank because there's no BDA, there's no battle damage assessment. And that might not necessarily be something that Israel would actually give up that information. And that's actually pretty much it. So thank you guys for showing up here. Hopefully YouTube will remonetize my short video. And thank you guys so much for watching.